different sports, I'm all for HIIT, but just for the average person, just not a fan.
Yeah. And I would say like, I completely agree with one small exception.
Would you advise somebody year round to just do a diet or just lose weight through dieting? Or what would you say to doing year round cardio? Or should you just do cardio at certain parts of the year? Like, what is your advice? Should people do year round cardio or save cardio? Like Mike O'Hearn, he really strongly feels only do the cardio when it comes time to cutting, and then just don't do the cardio because the heart's really strong, can handle that. And he quoted the 600-pound people, or they're saying, you know, they're 600 pounds, their hearts are strong, they can handle it. Don't do cardio later. You must have missed the video, but Mike O'Hearn is a proponent of do not do cardio until it's time to cut, save it for then. The heart is strong. It keeps people alive who are 600 or 700 pounds. So
barely.
Yeah. Like how many 90-year-olds do you see at 600 or 700 pounds? So overall, would you say, hey, because a lot of people are like, don't do cardio when you're bulking, only do cardio when you're cutting, save it for later. Metabolic, you adapt to the cardio, you don't burn calories. If you keep being, you become efficient, they'll say. They use that buzzword quite often. You do cardio all the time, you become efficient. I'm saying what? So all of a sudden I don't burn calories when I go for a run. I'm just too efficient. My theory is the more cardio you do year round, you get better at it. Therefore, when you do that 1 hour of cardio, you're able to do it at a higher rate with less effort. So you actually end up burning more calories. So on my bike ride, I can burn 900 calories in an hour. When I wasn't in shape, that same hour, 600, and I was dead. Now 900, no problem. I'll do it tomorrow. So, you know, I'm a strong kind of a fan of doing year-round cardio.
A lot of interesting points. So real quick on the efficiency point, it's absolutely true that people become more efficient in any activity they do calorically. So like an hour of walking at 2.5 miles an hour on the treadmill. At first, when you start, it takes you kind of a lot of calories because your body really sucks at doing it, and it's coordinated.
Yeah, you're walking incorrectly. Like you're not mechanically efficient at doing it.
Yeah, and then after several weeks and several months, you get better at it. But and that absolutely will mean that if you continue to walk at 2.5 miles an hour for an hour, you will burn fewer calories than you used to. But like you said, it's a very great point, is now you're more capable at walking. Now you can easily go up to 3 miles an hour for an hour and not get tired. And now you're burning way more calories than ever before. So the efficiency thing is like a self-solving problem if you just push yourself adequately. So that's not a concern. I do not like it if I'm coaching somebody. I don't like to program time for just time alone for cardio. The people will be like treadmill walk for an hour. Like,
would you do calories? Like burn this many calories?
I prefer calories. Absolutely. Because like, Greg, here's the deal. What the fuck are we trying to do? We're trying to burn calories. Why don't you just fucking measure what we're trying to do? Like, you know, like measure what you actually want. Like if you're trying to get to somewhere in your car and it's 300 miles away, do you measure how much time you've been driving or how fucking close you are to your location?
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like if you get in a traffic jam, you're like, oh, we've been driving for 5 hours. We should be in Chicago by now. Well, motherfucker, you're not in Chicago because Chicago is still 50 miles away because you got in a traffic jam. So at the end of the day, it's measure, try to get the best estimate of calories. If you can't get calories, at least do a duration and an intensity, right? Like an hour at 3 miles per hour. And after a while, if that's not getting you a little bit out of breath and that's not challenging, after a few months, peg it at 3.3 miles an hour, 3.5 or something like that to get yourself that challenging activity that's going to burn all those calories. First of all. Second of all, there's no need to separate cardio into its own special activity in every case. So like cardio doesn't have to mean you go to Gold's Gym, you fucking put in your headphones, you get on the treadmill and you fucking do this. And outside of that, you're somehow incapable of moving around. Step tracker, again, huge shout out to, I don't even know what fucking brand this is, MyFit or some shit like that. They don't sponsor me or anything. They're fucking Chinese company. They have no idea who the fuck I am. But if you get a step tracker, you're able to just monitor your daily activity. And what I would say is for health, for ability, and for staying leaner, having a decent step count all year long, almost all year long, is a really good idea. So
and roughly what's that step count, would you say? Is it 5,000? It's 10,000? Does it vary person to female, male, female, age? Like what is your recommendation on the steps?
Yeah, great question. It's pretty simple. Anything below 5,000 is considered almost sedentary and you're not really trying. 5,000 to 10,000, you're doing pretty well for yourself. 10,000 to 15,000 is considered what I would say like a pretty decent meat and potatoes attempt at getting lean. So I would say in a fat loss phase, 10,000 to 15,000 every day is like, fuck man, at that point, if you're not getting lean with 10,000 to 15,000, it's your fucking diet. Like it is. Like you're not too low physical activity. So I would say, and anything north of 15,000 is like you're a waiter / really interesting person, and you're going to have a real hard time gaining weight in most cases, and fat loss will be super easy for you. So, but that also causes a lot of fatigue, right? If you try to walk 18,000 steps a day, after 5 days, your legs will be numb and you'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. So you got to pick something sustainable. I would say anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 is great for off season for mass gaining. I do 10,000 on my mass gain because I want to stay healthy and I don't want to get super fat. It's fucking great. I walk. I talk on the phone when I walk, and so on and so forth. It works out really great for me. I walk between sets in the gym, not like purposefully, but I just like walk around, move a little bit, look at stuff. And then I get to 10,000 and super groovy. I think if you're trying to stay pretty lean, dropping your average daily under 7,500 for consistent periods of time, probably not the greatest thing in the world. So like if you're at 6,000 all the time, you could probably do better and be leaner and healthier by going 7,500 plus. 7,500 to 1,250 per day is on average what I would do all the time. And it's closer to 1,250 when you're cutting on purpose, closer to 7,500 when you're mass gaining and you have real trouble gaining weight, you have to eat more. I wouldn't do much more than 7,500 because then you're just asking for more calorie flux and you're just trying to sort of chase your own tail at that point. But to Michael Hearn's point of never do cardio in the off season, if he means you should still have a high level of physical activity, like 7,500 steps and above every day, then totally fuck it. No formal.
I think his
cardio.
wording was 20 minutes twice a week. That's all you need. Maybe it was 3 minutes. And the funny thing is he's doing this while he's on the stepper.
Oh, right.
It's like, okay, Mike.
20 minutes, right? So I would say that you can do zero formal cardio all year long and be super fucking shredded if you just watch your step count. If you don't watch your step count, it's a problem to program formal cardio because here's the thing. If you say, okay, 20 minutes 3 times a week is enough cardio to do X, Y, Z. Question, how physically active is that person outside of that? If someone's like you and they do bike racing and have, the jitters all the time, then it's way more than enough. If it's someone that is just normally sitting around and doing jack shit and they're an accountant at work and they sit all day, geez, that's a fucking cardio, like heart attack level of cardio. You can be in terrible shape and still do that much cardio. If you get 3,000 steps a day, that's probably not enough for most people. And it's probably not a good idea. So I'm really not a big fan of XYZ amount of minutes per day on treadmill or per week. I like a baseline activity tracker. And if you want to layer formal cardio on top of that, you can, but I'm a big fan of step counting. And yes, you should do pretty decent amount of activity year round. I would say for most people, 7,500 steps plus is a real good idea to kind of always be around that.
And I think for me or some other people, we don't do a lot of walking. It's all biking. I can't literally take the steps. I'd like to know. It'd be fun to be able to just do an equivalent. I always tell people 150 minutes a week of moderate physical activity. So what that means is harder than like just a snail walk, but not hard. Like you don't have to push yourself. Like you don't have to race like me. You just moderate. So it's just kind of an easy way to think about it for the average person that maybe they don't have the step tracker. Maybe they don't go to the gym. Maybe they're doing rowing. And really, what is the step? If you're swimming or biking, maybe the steps are harder to count. But definitely from what I had done in the past, because I did have the straps way back, I was doing somewhere in the 8,000 to 12,000 steps range when I was not active. So I would call that, I guess, moderately active, even though I wasn't doing the bike riding. I was just an average guy, and that was my step range. So it's not that hard to get that. And if you're not getting that, you probably should try.
A lot of people that live in like the suburbs in the US, especially like Texas, they drive to the gym, they drive to the store, etc. Some of them are getting less than 5,000 every day. So for some folks, you really have to try to get 8,000 to 12,000. And I think that's a really good range for almost everyone. I would also say, like, if you're asking like on a massing phase or off season, am I doing too little cardio? My next question is like, do you ever get out of breath doing regular daily tasks? If the answer is yes, you need probably to do more cardio.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Just simple stuff for people. Yeah, if you're walking up a flight of stairs and you're stopping and you're like, wow, there's something wrong. That shouldn't happen. You need that fitness level. Exactly. HIIT versus LISS cardio for fat loss. Which is better? Which do you recommend for most people? Just for most people in general.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. So for most people, it's whatever they can fit into their preferences and lifestyles best. Like if you really like low intensity steady state cardio, I'm not going to pull any dicks out of your mouth and tell you that's not a good idea. I'm allowed to swear in here, right? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So totally fine. If someone really loves high intensity interval training and they just want to fucking rock out, hey, go to town. However, there are more specifics. If you want to be a high level bodybuilder and you want as big of legs as possible, a lot of high intensity interval training will interfere with your leg workouts. It'll make them worse. It can actively burn a little bit of muscle. It can lead to more higher injury rates. In that case, I would say low intensity steady state is a better idea if you are in that population. So that's why you see almost all pro bodybuilders. Who the fuck out there is doing interval sprints and hill sprints? Almost no one, because it's a good way to jack yourself up, fuck yourself up for leg workouts. And it doesn't burn like a shitload more fat, maybe not any more fat than low intensity steady state if you just do enough of it. So that's point number one. Point number two.
Well, I want to interrupt and just say 100% agree. So I actually thought we might have a different opinion here, but no, I have the same opinion. I'm all for LISS. I do the HIIT cardio, but I don't think for most people they should be doing that. It's too hard. You can't recover from it. I start sprinting. I can't do the squats that I want to do, especially if I'm running, and the injury chances that you're going to get. And are we actually burning more calories in HIIT than LISS? I've tracked it. I have an actual power meter tracking my watts. I'm doing the HIIT cardio workout on the bike, and it says the calories I'm burning, and I do steady state. I can go at kind of that steady state right here. And if I go HIIT, I go super hard, but then I need to recover. I need to go slower, and I can't do it very long. I'm burnt out. It's too exhausting. And then the next day I'm sore. I'm mentally drained, physically drained. So for me, LISS all the way. People that are against it are like, well, what about the afterburn? HIIT, you burn so many calories for days later. I'm like, small. LISS, like the steady state, also has an afterburn effect. The longer you go, if you do an hour of cardio at just a moderate pace, you're just riding along, versus you do 10 minutes HIIT that everyone on internet keeps promoting, the 10-minute workout, get abs, and it only takes 10 minutes. It sounds cool. It sounds better. I'll just do HIIT cardio. And I think in people's minds, HIIT cardio is like, you just do a little bit of intervals, a little bit harder, go easy, but HIIT is hard. And it's challenging. I'd rather do LISS any day. So I'm only for HIIT cardio for athletes who are competitors in sport, like you're a soccer player, basketball player, different sports. I'm all for HIIT, but just for the average person, just not a fan.
Yeah. And I would say I completely agree with one small exception is if someone doesn't want enormous legs, because usually HIIT cardio is leg based, you're not doing HIIT with your arms. And if they can handle it well, fatigue wise, if it's not the only thing they're doing. So if someone's like, look, I do LISS twice a week. I do swimming twice a week. And for the other 2 days, I like doing HIIT on the treadmill. I like doing the incline sprints with rest. I'm not going to say that's a stupid idea. If it's okay with you, it's not interfering a ton with your leg workouts. If you don't have ambitions for the biggest legs of all time, and you seem to be recovering well from the knee stress and the hip stress and et cetera, because, people aren't that frail. Like, motherfucker, you can run fast a couple times a week. It's just, I don't like to see people do two things. One, think they can do like an hour of HIIT cardio every day. That's fucking insanity. You run your legs off your body. And two, people think that there's some kind of bullshit trick where you fucking zap the body into some weird state of fat burning by doing 10 minutes of HIIT
for 72 days, 72 hours later for days.
Magical.
It's like the V-shred, V-shred theory. Yeah.
100%. So it's one of those, like, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If you like HIIT cardio every now and again, you want to do it. You feel athletic. You feel your swag a little bit. It's not terrible for your recovery. Rock out. But don't forget that when push comes to shove and the best bodybuilders in the world have to push themselves, almost all of them do it multiple sessions per week, 6+ sessions per week. Low intensity steady state cardio is the way to get lean and save your muscle, because it's a low fatigue. I can actually put this more technically. The stimulus to fatigue ratio, if we measure stimulus by calories burned and fatigue by how much it fucks you up, for cardio is best at low intensity steady state. Is the calorie burning stimulus per unit of time higher for HIIT? Yeah, but the fatigue is fucking massive and it's just unsustainable. Similar thing, a very interesting analogy here, it's also the same systems, is guys asking, can I build a shitload of muscle doing sets of like 2 to 4 repetitions? Like, yeah, if you survive, can you do sets of 2 to 4 reps heavy all the time for years on end and stay in one piece?
Yeah, not likely.
Probably
Mhm.
not. If you do more like sets of 10 to 20, then you can build as much muscle, if not more, and you'll be in one piece to do it. So it's one of those things where on paper, at a first glance, it's like, ooh, and then you actually try it and you're like, ooh, maybe that's not the best idea.
Yeah, that's a lot more into like you can read the science of something and it says, well, you can build a muscle with the lower rep range and it'll prove that you can here. But in the real world, can you actually put your body through that without getting injured for the long haul? I'd rather do more time under tension sets a bit higher and maybe not push myself to that extreme with the massively heavy weights because I don't want to hurt my back. Like I lifted those weights. I did the powerlifting. Now, when I squat, I have a sore hip. I've already had hip surgery. Had I not been doing all those 1 rep maxes and so on when I was younger, maybe I'm still squatting and maybe I'm still making gains from that. Now, I can't really squat like I used to.
100%.